another episode on Let Your Light So Shine. My name is Monica and I'm happy to have you here with me today. I will be discussing the topic that I tag, God will use what you have. God will use what you have. Sometimes we feel that what we have is not enough. We feel that we need so much more to accomplish all our dreams and all our goals and aspirations. But today we are looking at the word of God that tells us that God will use what you have. That what you have is enough. What you have is adequate. What you have will suffice for the purpose for which God has called you and for the assignments that God has given you. My scripture for today is Exodus chapter 4 verses 1 to 20. I'll say that again. Exodus chapter 4 verses 1 to 20. Now let's read that together. Then Moses answered and said, "But suppose they will not believe me or listen to my voice. Suppose they say, 'The Lord has not appeared to you.' So the Lord said to him, 'What is that in your hand?' He said, 'A rod.' And he said, 'Cast it on the ground.' So he cast it on the ground, and it became a serpent, and Moses fled from it. Then the Lord said to Moses, 'Reach out your hand and take it by the tail.' And he reached out his hand and caught it, and it became a rod in his hand, that they may believe that the Lord God of their fathers, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob has appeared to you." Furthermore, the Lord said to him, "Now put your hand in your bosom." And he put his hand in his bosom. And when he took it out, behold, his hand was leprous, like snow. And he said, "Put your hand in your bosom again." So he put his hand in his bosom again, and drew it out of his bosom. And behold, it was restored like his other flesh. Then it will be, if they do not believe you, nor heed the message of the first sign, that they may believe the message of the latter sign. And it shall be, if they do not believe even these two signs, or listen to your voice, that you shall take water from the river and pour it on the dry land. The water which you take from the river will become blood on the dry land. Then Moses said to the Lord, "O my Lord, I am not eloquent, neither before nor since you have spoken to your servants, but I am slow of speech and slow of tongue." And the Lord said to him, "Who has made man's mouth? Or who makes the mute, the deaf, the seeing, or the blind? Have not I the Lord? Now therefore, go, and I will be with your mouth, and teach you what you shall say." But he said, "O my Lord, please send by the hand of whomever else you may send." So the anger of the Lord was kindled against Moses, and he said, "Is not Aaron the Levite your brother? I know that he can speak well. And look, he is also coming out to meet you. When he sees you, he will be glad in his heart. Now you shall speak to him and put the words in his mouth, and I will be with your mouth and with his mouth, and I will teach you what you shall do. So he shall be your spokesman to the people, and he himself shall be as a mouth for you, and you shall be to him as God. And you shall take this rod in your hand, with which you shall do the signs." So Moses went and returned to Jethro, his father-in-law, and said to him, "Please let me go and return to my brethren who are in Egypt, and see whether they are still alive." And Jethro said to Moses, "Go in peace." Now the Lord said to Moses in Midian, "Go, return to Egypt, for all the men who sought your life are dead." Then Moses took his wife and his sons and set them on a donkey, and he returned to the land of Egypt. And Moses took the rod of God in his hand. So let me give you the backstory of this. Moses is working in the bush. He's doing some work for his father-in-law, Jethro, in the land of Midian. His father-in-law is the priest of Midian. So Moses has escaped from Egypt, where he killed the man and was discovered. Remember, Moses had dual nationality. He was both a Jew and an Egyptian. He was an Egyptian by adoption, but a Jew by birth. So Moses escaped from Egypt and sought solace in the land of Midian. And he got married and had children there. But the Lord still had an assignment for Moses. So the Lord called out to Moses in the burning bush and spoke to him and asked him to go and lead the children of Israel out of Egypt. So Moses starts telling God here in Exodus chapter 4 about his inadequacies. He said to him, I'm slow of speech. I don't speak well. I'm not fluent. How am I supposed to go and stand in front of Pharaoh and tell him that you said? How would I even talk to the children of Israel and tell them that the God of their fathers said that they should leave Egypt and come and worship him? How am I supposed to do that? I don't speak well. I'm not fluent. Before he even said that, because Moses was coming up with so many excuses, his first excuse was, what do I say to them? How will the children of Israel believe me? Because I have to first meet the children of Israel before we then go to Pharaoh. And God said to him, what do you have in your hand? What is that in your hand? And Moses said, a rod, a stick. And he said to him, toss that rod on the floor. As soon as Moses threw the rod to the floor, he turned into a snake. And Moses ran away. Natural reaction. Everyone else would have run away. Anybody, you, I would have run away. So Moses ran away. And then God told him to pick that snake by the tail, lift it up. And as he picked it up, it turned into a rod again. Turned back into a stick. So the stick turned into a snake. And then the snake turned into a stick back. But then Yahweh said to him again, put your hand in your bosom. And he put his hand in his bosom. And he said, bring it out. And when he brought it out, his hand was white, leprous. He had instant leprosy. And God said to him, put your hand back in your bosom. And so Moses did that. And when he put his hand back in his bosom and brought it out, it had become normal again. And God said to him, even if the children of Israel do not believe you with these two signs, when you fetch water from the river and you pour it on dry land, it is going to turn to blood. Those are three signs that I have given you for you to show the children of Israel, to prove to them that I sent you, that I am that I am has sent you. The God of their fathers, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob has sent you to liberate them, to tell them that I have heard their cry, to tell them that I am calling them out of Egypt to come and worship me and be my people. And the irony is that Moses was not impressed. Moses was not impressed that his stick, his rod that he had in his hand, that he had probably been using for days or even weeks, turned into a snake and back into a rod. Moses was not impressed. Moses was still not impressed by the fact that he put his hand into his bosom and it turned into a leprous hand, and he put it back and it became well again. He was still not blown away. He was not even surprised by the fact that he could take water from a river, then pour it on dry land and it turned to blood. He was not impressed because the next thing he said was, but I don't speak well. I'm not fluent. How will I go and tell Pharaoh that you sent me? How will I even speak to the children of Israel to tell them that their God has sent me to them? How will I speak before Pharaoh, a dignitary, the king of Egypt? How do I speak to him? I don't speak well. I'm not an orator. I don't have public speaking skills. How do I speak to this man? How do I explain myself? How do I tell him what you have asked me to tell him? How? I don't have that skill. That is not my skill. That is not my ability. That is not the gift I have been given. I have not been given the gift of gap. I have not been given the gift of public speaking. My tongue is not my best weapon. My hands are. I'm a shepherd here. I've killed somebody. I'm strong like that. But my tongue is not my strength. My gifting is not in my speaking. That was what Moses was saying to God. That was what Moses was saying to God. And God was angry at him. God was angry at him because he had just shown him 3 signs. He had just made him do something that he never imagined. His stick, his own stick, turned into a snake and back into a stick. And he was still not impressed. You know, now that I think about it, I'm thinking that Moses' initial reaction, his initial skepticism, is a reflection of the reaction of the children of Israel. I am thinking that Moses was really the leader of the children of Israel. He was a mirror, a reflection, or rather the children of Israel were a reflection of Moses, their leader. Because in spite of the miracles that God did for them along the way, on the way to the promised land, they were still not impressed. But that is an aside. Let's focus on Moses here in Exodus 4. Let us talk about what he does. God is upset with him, but still says to him, your brother, Aaron, he has the gift of public speaking. He speaks well. He is fluent. Good. Good. Work with him. Let him follow you. You tell him what to say. I will tell you what to say. And you will relay it to Aaron, your brother. And Aaron will tell it to Pharaoh. You will go together, but Aaron will be your mouthpiece. Aaron will speak on your behalf. You will hear from me directly, but you will relay the information to Aaron, and Aaron will tell it to Pharaoh. And God even told Moses that Aaron will be glad when he sees him. When I read that place in the Bible, it had a special message for me. It said to me that if God has somebody he wants me to partner with, if there is somebody that God has called me to collaborate with, he will place it in that person's heart. When I ask the person to come and work with me, come let us synergize, come let us collaborate, there is this joy that will be in the person's heart because God would have already gone ahead of me to speak to the person to say, this is the person you're going to work with. Work with Monica. I want you to work on this project. It is for both of you. Do it together. Follow her lead or work in harmony, whatever it is. That was what God did for Moses. He told him, Aaron will be happy to see you. And indeed, subsequently, when Moses saw Aaron, Aaron was happy to see him. And he received the assignment well and they worked well together. Now, let me get to the nitty-gritty of this whole passage. God will use what you have. God will use what you have. God said to Moses, what do you have there? What is that in your hand? And Moses said, a rod. I'm guessing that Moses just, like, when God said, what is that in your hand? He looked down and was like, what's that in my hand? It's a rod. Yes, a rod. It's a rod. What's so special about a rod? He must have been thinking to himself, it's a rod. Yes, a rod, an ordinary rod. What's so special about this rod? Then God said to Moses, toss it on the ground. Moses did and it turned to a snake. Pick it up. Moses did and it turned back into a rod. Just an ordinary rod. Something Moses may have been using to clear his path as he was moving around the bush. Something Moses took as just a rod. He didn't say it is a special rod. He didn't say it's a rod that I crafted out, that I, filed and all. He didn't say that. Moses said it is a rod. Now the article A means that it is just one rod. So it's as good as saying it is one of many rods. There's nothing significant about the rod. It doesn't have a special attribute. It is just a rod. It is a rod. It's just a stick. That's what it is. But God took that thing that was seemingly just a stick and used it to do wonders. That same stick, at the end, if you read Genesis 4 verse 20, it says that when Moses was going, he took with him the rod of God. That rod started off as just a rod. But by the time God had given it a purpose, God had decided to use it for an assignment, it became God's rod. It was no longer just a rod. It was no longer just a rod that Moses picked from the bush. It was God's rod. That's what it is called in verse 20. God's rod. Not just an ordinary rod. So what is your rod? What is that thing that you think is insignificant? What is that thing that you think is so common? It's just there, it's everywhere, everybody has it. We can get it a dime a dozen. What's that thing? What is it? Is it your skill? Okay, you think everybody can sing, so there's nothing special about your singing. Really? Have you heard yourself sing? Is it your writing skill? You think, okay, everybody's writing, there are so many books, they are online, they are e-books, they are hard copies, everybody is a content creator these days. So what's so special about my own skill? When God uses your skill, it becomes more than just a skill. It becomes the skill that God uses. It becomes God's messenger. It becomes God's skill. It becomes something that God uses to change the world for better. That thing that you commonize as just a rod, as just a skill, as just a phone, as just a house, as just a church. Whatever it is that you are commonizing, God can use for His glory. As soon as God comes into the situation and says, I want to use this for myself, I want to use this for my glory, I want to use this for my purpose, I'm sending you on an assignment and this is the tool I am giving you, it becomes God's tool. It becomes what God uses to glorify His name and to bless the world. It is no longer just ordinary. I also want to look at the point where Moses kept reiterating, I don't have the gift of public speaking. I don't speak smoothly. I don't speak fluently. How can I speak to Pharaoh? Did you notice that God did not give Moses the gift of gab? Did you notice that God did not give Moses the gift of fluency? Moses still could not speak well, even when he was carrying out his assignments. Even when Moses was liberating the children of Israel from Egypt, he still could not speak well. There was nothing special about Moses' speech, and I'm thinking until the day he died. Because we were never told in the Bible that, so God decided to heal Moses' tongue, or so God decided that Moses should speak better. No. Aaron was his spokesman. It is life. We have to balance each other out. If I have a skill that needs your complementary skill, we have to balance each other out. That is why it takes all sorts to make a world. If I was so self-sufficient, I wouldn't need you. If you were so self-sufficient, you would not need me. But together, we can build something. Together, we can do something great. Together, we can collaborate and carry out an assignment and carry it out excellently. Together, we can actualize God's purpose for our lives. Do you know that we have co-joined destinies with people? The people that come into our lives have a purpose that they play in our lives. Some are there for a season, some are there for a lifetime, some are there for a specific assignment. People come into our lives for a reason. There is always a reason why people come into our lives. So Aaron had always been in Moses' life because he was his brother. He had always been there. So God sent Aaron ahead of Moses, knowing that Aaron had the skill that Moses was going to need, and they were going to work together in harmony. They were going to work together and collaborate and fulfill the purpose that God had for the children of Israel and for Aaron and Moses. In the same vein, you must be willing to collaborate with people. Look for people who have skills that you don't have. Look for people whose strengths are your weakness. And tap into their wealth of knowledge, their wealth of experience, their efficiency and their skills at something that you don't have. Stop feeling like you know it all. Stop feeling like you have everything it takes. Stop feeling as if you don't need anybody. No man is an island. I can't be an island even if I tried. Neither can you. So be open to collaboration. Ask God to show you your purpose partners. Ask God to show you people that He has put in your life to help you actualize His purpose and bless humanity and fulfill your co-joined assignment. Ask God to direct you. Ask the Holy Spirit to direct you. So to round it off, I'm reminding you once again to not discard or trivialize or overlook that thing you have in your hand. Don't call it insignificant. Don't call it useless. Don't call it irrelevant. Don't say you are incompetent. Whatever it is you have, whether it is a skill, whether it is a disposition, whether it is an ability, whether it is a tool, a physical tool that you can touch, something concrete, you have to value it. Don't underestimate it. Don't devalue it. Don't look down on it and call it insignificant and useless. God can take even that seemingly insignificant thing and turn it around and use it for his purpose. Because come to think of it, what is special about a rod? What is special about a rod when we can even make rods on the way? As we walk along the path, we can make rods. We can pick 100 rods in a day if we wanted to. What is special about a rod? If it's just an ordinary rod, there's nothing special. But when it is the rod of God, it is extra special, it is extraordinary, it is super duper. Yes, it is. So don't take it for granted. Don't take your little things, those seemingly insignificant things, those seemingly common things, those seemingly trivialized things. Don't take them for granted. Don't underestimate what the power of God can do when it comes into your situation and you apply the little that you have to what God has called you to do. As long as God has given you the assignment, He will give you the tools you need. He will give you the materials you need. He will give you the collaborators, the friends, the acquaintances, the connections that you need. He will give you the people. He will give you the tools. He will give you whatever it is you need for your life's journey. I also want to point out that when God has shown us wonders, when God has told us, I'm with you, when God has told us, I will go ahead of you and clear the paths and make crooked places straight, we need to believe. We should stop being like Moses, who kept saying, okay, you showed me all these things, fine, but I still cannot speak well. It was like saying that he was underestimating God in spite of what he had seen. You and I have been too blessed. Even the fact that we are alive today is a blessing. We have been too blessed to trivialize, to act like God has not been good to us. God has been too good to us for us to act as if he has no power. God has done wonders. God has done miracles. God has been there through thick and thin. Indeed, God has proved to be an ever-present help in times of trouble. And so we must remember that when difficulties come, we know we can be fickle, we can forget, we can be carried away, we can be consumed in our pain, in our sorrow, in our fear, in our inadequacies, in our feeling inadequate, because sometimes we are more adequate than we actually think we are. But we must always remember that God has proved himself over the years. God has been there. God has shown up. God has stood up. God has healed us. God has defended us. God has protected us. He has helped us over the years. He is God through all the ages, and over time, every single time, he proves himself. He is there for you and he is there for me. So when God has proved himself, let us believe without doubting that God is indeed with us. And if God be for us, who can be against us? Alrighty then, I hope you have been blessed by this word that I had for you today. Remember, God can use whatever it is that you have. Be it big, be it small, be it something trivial, be it something common, be it something that seems inadequate, virtually useless. God can use it, and God can make the impossible possible with even the little that you have. All you need to do is invite God into your situation. Let God come in and take charge. Let God come in and take control. Let God come in and reign supreme in your life, in your situation, and make use of what you have. And you will see that indeed what you have is more than enough. Okay, this is where I draw the curtain for today, but please don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Please show me your support by subscribing to this channel. Also, click the notification button so you will know as soon as I update. Don't forget to like this channel and share my videos. Wherever you are, whatever you do, let your light so shine. I'll see you next time. Bye for now. Please subscribe, click the notification button, like this channel, share our videos, and follow us on social media. Thank you very much.